Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another session of Yoga Insights by Indica Yoga. I'm Sophie French. This evening's session is going to be hosted by yoga teacher and therapist Omkar Gotkhindikar ji. He has completed his graduation and post-graduation from Abhyasa in 2008 and has been working as a yoga teacher and therapist since then. Omkarji focuses on working in the corporate sector and helps people with stress management using yoga. He also offers yoga therapy sessions for psychosomatic ailments by creating custom modules using various aspects of yoga and its philosophy. He believes that both the practical and philosophical aspects of yoga should be practiced together. In today's session, Omkarji will be exploring the process of meditation as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So let's welcome Omkarji to our session. Omkarji, would you like to join us, please?
Namaste, Sophie ji. Namaste all.
So I'm going to hand over the session to you now, and I'll see you all later for Q&A. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste all. We will start session with a small prayer, and obviously the prayer is to the Krishna. The entire Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge which we get from the Bhagavad Gita is because of him. So if you know this prayer, you can chant along with me. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam Paramanandamadhavam Paramanandamadhavam. In current times, when we are recovering from the COVID effects, the lockdown and whatever the troubles we had gone through, as a yoga teacher, I came across many people who are understanding and realizing importance of a yogic practices. It might be a asana, it might be a pranayama, it might be a dhyana or meditation or any other techniques which comes from the philosophy or the science of the yoga. And people are curious. They want to know how can they work on themselves and make sure that whatever the external situations are there, however much there is a turmoil in the world, how they can maintain their grounding or how they can maintain their centeredness. And when I think of it, there are so many wonderful scriptures we are blessed with. It might be a Yoga Sutra, or it might be a Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But I always take a shelter for the Bhagavad Gita under the grace of the divine Krishna. And that divine grace is such a wonderful that 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a dhyana yoga, it explains one of the major aspect on this path of yoga, which is of the dhyana or meditation. And when I encounter with many youngsters, they have doubts and the valid questions about the dhyana. And it is obvious that many think that it is difficult or something that one can do meditation after certain age. You know, when I will retire, I will meditate. I always say that when you are supposed to meditate, it is always today. It is always now. There is no guarantee that tomorrow we exist. There is no guarantee that we have a next breath. So what time you have is a now. And if you can utilize that time now for the meditation, nothing better than that. Krishna, as we know in Mahabharata, this Kurukshetra war is happening. He is such a wonderful friend and he's a counselor. He is a counselor for Arjuna. Now, please understand that Arjuna was not some layman. He was the greatest warrior of his time. His might was very always proven. And still, in that condition, Arjuna went to the deep stressful situation. He saw his own relatives, his gurus, his cousins, his own people, and he thought that why should I wage this war? And Krishna wants to convey to him that it is your duty to perform your dharma. It is your duty which you have to follow. And that duty to follow, you need to have a focused mind. You must have that detached attitude where you don't have even an ounce of a ego, and you have that complete instrumental view. Nimitta matra bhava savya sachi, he says. Krishna says to Arjuna. And in that process, when Krishna is counseling Arjuna slowly, steadily, from when we see every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter explains the meditation, the process of the meditation, benefits of the meditation, what can be trouble during the process of meditation, and how one can recover from it. And it is such a wonderful way to explain and such a scientific explanation. There is no any kind of what we call that baseless sentence in that. Everything which comes, obviously, when you see it as a yoga student or yoga practitioner, it is directly coming from the mouth of the divine Krishna. And those words are so powerful that one can understand that knowledge. Arjuna, being such a great warrior, was in such a turmoil. And in that turmoil, he is going through such a confusion. Should I not? And again, sometimes he realizes that, okay, I have to wage this war. And then sometimes he thinks that, okay, why should I do this? And in that process, he has so many doubts. So one of the doubt, which we will see, I'm sharing the slides here. So in Arjuna says to the Krishna, as a beginner, as someone who is starting this process, he is telling Krishna, Chanchalam hi manak Krishna pramathi balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manne vayoriva sudushkuram. We are going to see number of shlokas from this chapter. So if you have a Gita with you, please keep it with you. If you don't have it, it's okay, just follow the slides. Arjuna is telling to the Krishna, Chanchalam hi manak Krishna. The mind is so chanchal, it is so much in a turmoil, it is always so much restless with anxiousness. It is creating pramatha, it is creating such a strong turbulence. O Krishna, to control this mind is like to control over the wind. How can somebody control over the wind? You cannot control over the wind. So similarly, to control the mind is just like to control the wind. One can sit for the meditation, and while sitting for the meditation, there are n number of chances that mind will go somewhere else. That's why the word used in our scriptures is called as a manovega, where the mind will take you to any kind of past, present. It will take away you from the present. Somewhere in the future, it will create a castles in the castles in the air, what we call, and it just takes you up and down and up and down. It plays with you. Now, it is difficult to control such mind. Now, if you force it to control, it revolts back. If you ignore, you lose your personality. You lose your focus. So there must be some solution. No? So Krishna is giving assurance here. Krishna is telling, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Griyate. Asamshayam. See, Krishna was not only Arjuna's friend, but he was also a yogi. He was the greatest counselor ever you can see. Asamshayam, definitely. He's telling, we say when we want to tell someone, yes. When the child starts crawling to the walking stage, we encourage the child to take a steps ahead. We sing some songs, we stand in front of the child and clap. We put some favorite toy in front of the child. So the child gets attracted towards that toy or your singing or your encouragement, and it tries to walk ahead. So similarly, Krishna is telling Arjuna, Asamsham, definitely, definitely. Mahabahu, he's using word Mahabahu, the one who is with the full might. Manodurnigraham chalam. It is definitely difficult to control the mind. But by Abhyasa and vairagya. The Abhyasa is a very important aspect on the spiritual path. Abhyasa means what? To do whichever practice assigned to you consistently, without any missing, without any failing, with full awareness. So it might be a simple practice of a breath awareness, it might be a simple practice of a japa or some form of the meditation, or it might be an asana practice, any spiritual practice. When you do consistently, it is a abhyasa with a full awareness. Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Sevita Druda Bhumi. That is what the Yoga Sutra says. Consistency is the key. Definitely with consistency and vairagya. Vairagya we misinterpret by thinking that we have to just completely devoid ourselves from any kind of good things in the world. Or we think, some people think that vairagya means wear some saffron dress or white dress and go somewhere in the remote areas, Himalayas, or somewhere in ashrams and all. But vairagya is not that. Vairagya is to perform the duties. And always when you perform the duties, remember that you are an instrument. You are not the doer. There is some power or some divinity within you which is getting this done. And to get this idea, one has to connect to that divinity within. It is like, you are sitting in a boat, you are having the rowers in your hand and you're rowing the boat. And when you're rowing the boat, you're not allowing water to come inside the boat. You're not allowing boat to sink down in the water, drown down in the water. If the water comes in a boat, you throw that water and you continue your journey. So once you understand this Abhyasa and Vairagya, you understand that's the key factor for your spiritual process or sadhana. Now, when we understand why this is important, Abhyasa, Vairagya, because mind creates such a chaos. Now, we recently saw, as I was telling, in a lockdown time, many people were blessed with such a wonderful life and luxurious things, and still they were stressed because of the COVID and what will happen, and that nervousness, that anxiety was there. There were people who didn't had anything, and because of that also they were always having that worry, what will happen. This anxiety which we experience, this anxiety is nothing but a speed of the mind which we experience, causes such a turmoil in our life. It removes the clarity and it causes the confused state where the decision making in day-to-day life activities or any major process in the life becomes difficult. So that's why that Abhyasa and Vairagya comes. But this Abhyasa and Vairagya, when you need, the Krishna says that Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschit durganti tata gacchati. The Krishna says, the Shri Bhagavan Vacha, means the Supreme Lord says, O Partha, Partha is another name of the Arjuna. One who engages on the spiritual path does not meet with the destruction either in this world or the worlds to come. See, this is assurance. That's why I use the word assurance. You come on the path. You tell a child when he's trying to walk, come, don't worry, nothing will happen. It's okay if you fall, you get up and come again. So that's how the Krishna is giving assurance here to Arjuna. It's okay. You come, you're on the spiritual path. Nothing bad will happen to you. My dear friend, one who strives for the God realization is never overcome by the evil. Krishna is telling so wonderfully, he's telling Arjuna, my dear friend, my dear friend Arjuna, that when you are on this path of a spirituality, when you are on this path of the realization of the God or divine, nothing overcomes by evil. Nothing will pull you down from the evil from your spiritual path towards the evilness or towards any kind of negativity. Because when you are on the spiritual path, when you are focused, when you are on in the path of Abhyasa, when you are following the Abhyasa and vairagya, however much distraction comes, with the divine grace, you continue that path and you reach to the ultimate destination. Krishna is telling Arjuna that this is the shloka from the 5th chapter. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shanti mruchati. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam nyatva mam shanti mruchati. Krishna is assuring Arjuna in such a wonderful way that he's telling that, okay, having realized me as an enjoyer of all sacrifices, austerities, and the supreme Lord of all the worlds and the selfless friend of all living beings, my devotees attain peace. Yato mate tato pathaha, whatever the way we think, those are the paths which are taking us to the divinity. There is a saying in the Indian scriptures or in Indian philosophy. The Krishna is telling nothing but the same. Whoever worships me in whichever form, finally that worship, that sacrifice, that austerity's fruit, everything is coming to me. It is coming to the Krishna, not as a Krishna as a person, but to that Brahman within. And when he's talking that, he's not talking as some king. Krishna is not talking as some king or some. He's talking as a realized, the supreme consciousness who is talking in the form of the Krishna. My teacher used to say, and it is such a wonderful to understand that it is a divine who is talking in the human forms. Now, when you know that, okay, you are being assured, you are being assured to follow the path of the meditation. You are being given a promise that you at least start walking, take the steps, and then everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be taken care. When you are being told that there is a method to follow the meditation, there is a way to follow the meditation, because there are so many processes of the meditation throughout the world we can see, but there is one simplest process, and which has been mentioned in the Gita. So when you have to follow the process of meditation, there is a requirement, or what you call as a prerequisite. This requirement is to be fulfilled. You cannot just one day sit and say, okay, oh no, I'm going to meditate. But one should have a wonderful balance between what we call it as ahara, vihara, and vichara. What I eat, what I think, and what I act on, and how much I have an activity. So ahara, vihara, vichara, when I have the balance, then my meditation is going to be a proper meditation. I cannot have a tendency to overindulge myself in a sensory object and still try to sit for the meditation. Because many people, when they start meditating, if they forget this particular aspect, when they forget this particular point, they think that, okay, I can start meditation in any way, and then the mind starts showing its own power. Because body is not at all in a control, the mind becomes overpowered on the body, and then people start getting a disturbance in the meditation. The experiences are not pleasant one. So first make sure that you have a good ahara, your food intake is in a moderation. The term in a Bhagavad Gita used is called as a mitahara. Then make sure that your thought process is not at all in negative plane. Or if you find any negative thought, what are the negative thoughts? Like anger, what you call enviness, any kind of a frustration, any kind of a lust, any kind of unnecessary desires you have, such kind of negative thought, any kind of old hurts we still carry, just make sure that you are working on letting those such negative thoughts go, which happens with the process of meditation, obviously. And activity. You cannot overstrain yourself and sit for the meditation. A moderation in physical activity is important. And that's why even in Ashtanga Yoga, asanas come before dhyana process. Why asanas? Because they give you the goal of the Hatha Yoga is to take you to that process of a Raja Yoga, to make you a good meditation practitioner. So Krishna is telling the prerequisite or the preparations. So in that preparation, Krishna says to Arjuna, नात्यश्नस्तस्तु योगोस्ति न चैकान्त मनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन. Oh Arjuna, those who eat too much or too little, those who sleep too much or too little cannot attain success in the yoga. Means cannot be a yes.
I'm so sorry to disturb the session again, but we figured out how to make this full screen. So do you see this panel on top where it says File, Home, Insert, Draw, Design? Over there, this slideshow, can you see? Here, it says...
Sophia ji, I think the problem with the Zoom version...
No, up here, slideshow. It's next to the word animation. Slideshow, can you see? Where it says File, Home, Insert, Draw, Design.
Yes.
Above the cursor where you are. Yeah, slideshow. Just click slideshow here and see if it's happening.
Sophia ji,
from current slide. Can you now go to from current slide at the bottom here? Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. Yes, Koti ji?
Yeah, am I audible? Omkarji, is it possible to send me that presentation, please? Actually, I think some problem with your Zoom version. That's why it is not appearing properly. It is not the problem with the presentation. Is it possible to share with me?
It's okay. Let's just continue for now. Let's not interrupt the session. I'm so sorry, Omkarji, to break your flow.
Otherwise, we can fix it if we have 2 minutes time.
That's okay. Koti, I don't want to interrupt the flow of the session. Please let it continue. I'm so sorry, Omkarji. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
So when the prerequisites are understood, I'm again sorry for the interruption what we had. When we understand the prerequisites, we understand that we cannot have excessive eating. Also, we should not starve ourselves. We should not torture our body by depriving ourselves from having the required nourishing food, and also by not sleeping. That's the first thing. Sleep is a very important aspect when you are on the spiritual path. And when I talk about the sleep, it's not like any time you can have to sleep. The sleep should be in your proper, what we call as the day and night cycle accordingly. So then only one can attain the success in the yoga. When it is mentioned here, the success in the yoga, it means that one is able to meditate properly, connect to that divinity within properly with a fine tuning. The Krishna continues the prerequisites by saying Yukta hara viharasya Yukta cheshtasya karmasu Yukta swapnava bodhasya Yogo bhavati dukkhaha. But those who are temperate in the eating, recreation, balanced in the work, regulated in the sleep, can mitigate all the sorrows by practicing yoga. You want to get rid of the sorrows from the life, you want to get rid of any troubles from your life, just make sure that you are eating properly, on the time, in a moderation, you are having a proper rest, your activities are well balanced, and you have a proper sleep. And then see your meditation becomes proper, your meditation is fine-tuned, and that will help you to get over any kind of a dukkha, the problems or miseries what we experience. in Sarada Mai says that, on the spiritual path, how one should do their meditation, how one should do their sadhana, that one has to, it's like when you plant a tree. When you plant a tree, small tree, you make sure that there is a small fence around it. You make sure that there is sufficient water, there is sufficient nourishment given to the soil there for that plant, and then there is sufficient sunlight. And you make sure that when the tree starts growing, that plants start growing, that no animals or any kind of birds or anyone come and disturbs that growth of that plant. Whenever the fruit comes, you enjoy the fruit, but you make sure that the plant is protected. So in the meditation is like that. When you take care of these aspects, you have to make sure that your timing of the meditation daily is fixed. You have to make sure that your sleep, your food is in a moderation. You make sure that your physical activities are in a balanced way. Krishna continues after telling these rules or prerequisites, he continues with the process of meditation. And the process is very beautifully explained by Krishna. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekakiyata chittatma nirashira parigraha. Those who seek the state of a yoga should reside in a seclusion, constantly engaged in a meditation with controlled mind and body, getting rid of the desires and possessions of the enjoyment. You cannot have a process of meditation going on and simultaneously think of something which you enjoy with. You cannot associate it, keep associating yourself with the external things. Okay, what will be the cricket match score, or whether I had to order this food, or should I get that purchasing from the Amazon sale. These things should not be there when you are meditating. You should be first in a secluded place. The place of a meditation should be a neat, clean, a proper place in your home or wherever you are meditating. And you engage your mind and body with a control. Because there are techniques of the meditation where there are physical activities involved. There are some schools of the yoga philosophy where there is a requirement of the physical activity before sitting for the meditation. So make sure that you have that control on the mind and body before doing that, doing the process of meditation. Krishna tells here in the Gita that Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiramasanamatmanaha natyuchritam na tinicham chailajina kushottaram. Shuchau deshe means a place of meditation should be neat and clean. To practice yoga, one should make an asana in a sanctified place. You cannot sit in for the meditation in very, clumsy place where there is everywhere there is a dirt, or there is not. It's not clean. It's not properly mopped, and such place you cannot sit. So the place should be neat and clean. Now, in olden time, that's why people used to sit in a caves for the meditation, or they used to have one particular puja room where they will sit for the meditation. Now, the asana which is mentioned, the asana means what we call currently a meditation pillow, is mentioned here is this, that it is made up of kushagra. Kushagra is a particular kind of a grass, that placing that kushagra grass, mat on the top of the deer skin and the cloth on it. Now, we obviously don't use the deer skin and such thing. A simple place where you are able to sit comfortably, a simple mat with a proper cloth in it, cotton cloth on it, where you are able to sit comfortably. It should not poke you. And one should sit over there. And asana should be a place of this meditation, should be natyuchritam na atinicham. It should not be very high. You need not to sit on some table or some bed on the top, nor too low. Obviously, in olden time, in the caves where people used to sit, there was always chance of getting disturbed by some kind of animals or something. So that's why they always said that place should be a proper, not too high, not too low. And then once you have a place ready, once the place is confirm, okay, now you have a proper sitting place. Then this is the actual process which Krishna tells that a method of meditation. तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्जात् योगमात्मविशुद्धये समं कायशिरो ग्रीवं धारयन्नचलं स्थिरः सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्च अनवलोकयन्. What it means is this, that sitting firmly, once your place is confirmed, a yogi should strive to purify the mind by focusing it in the meditation with one pointed concentration, controlling all thoughts and activities. He must hold the body, neck, and head firmly in a straight line. Your posture must be straight. You should not have a slouch in a meditation practice. Your posture must be straight and gaze nasikagra. Nasikagra means what? At the tip of the nose. Focus on the tip of the nose without allowing eyes to wander. Your eyes are focused here. Nasikagra drishti is the terminology which we use. And then you focus and watch your breath there. Once you focus there, avoid any kind of thoughts. How one can avoid? Many times people ask that, how can I avoid? The thoughts come. Yes, they come. Start becoming observer and focus repeatedly your mind on the object of your meditation. So at the moment, object of meditation is the tip of the nose, where your breath is going in and out. You are observing the openings of the nostrils. So focus on that. If the mind wanders, bring it back, again focus on it. So when you observe that nasikagra, when you observe the, in general terminology, what we call it as a breath awareness, tip of the nostril or opening of the nostrils, when you observe, your mind starts becoming clearer and clearer. प्रशांतात्मा विगत भीहि ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः मनस्संयममच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्परः. Thus, this serene, fearless, and unwavering mind, and staunch in a vow of celibacy, the vigilant yogi should meditate on me, having me alone as a supreme goal. Krishna is talking as a divine, supreme divine, or what we call as a Parabrahman here. That once you focus, you are taking your breath awareness deep, you are following that breath, everything else is gone from the picture. No other thoughts are there. You are firm. You are firm, that's why you are fearless. When you are not firm, when your mind is wavering, you have a fear. So you are firm, you are using breath as a tool at the beginning, and then you focus that unwavering mind where? On the divine. The divine which resides within. When you do that, what happens? It is a little, when you do that, many times mind wanders. It is very natural. So you have to do this process slowly, steadily. You cannot force your mind. Shankaracharya in Viveka Chudamani says that the way we tame the lions or the elephants or tigers, gently, slowly, that's how you have to tame your mind. You cannot force your mind. So Krishna says the same thing in a different form, that Sankalpa Prabhavan Kamas Tyaktva Sarvana Sheshataha Manasaivendriya Gramam Viniyamya Samantataha Shanai Shanai Ruparamet Buddhyadhriti Grihitaya Atma Samstham Manakritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Completely renouncing all the desires arising from the thoughts of the world. One should restrain the senses from all sides with the mind. Slowly and steadily, with a conviction in the intellect, the mind will become fixed in the God alone and will think of nothing else. You have to renounce all the desires. As I said, when I sit for the meditation, I should not be concerned what is the score of cricket match, or I should not be concerned that whether I have to order this or not this. At that moment, at that point, my duty is to focus on the process of meditation. And how I have to do that? Shanai Shanai, slowly, steadily, and buddhyadhriti grihitaya, with a awareness of the buddhi. Buddhi means what? Intelligence. You cannot have emotions and intelligence separated there. You have to observe the thought process, let go all those unnecessary thought, bring that awareness towards the process of meditation, and do all this with the intelligence. When you do all this with the intelligence, the mind will become fixed in a God alone or divine or whatever the energy, what we call the supreme being within us and nothing else. It is, as I was telling, it is definitely that mind is going to wander. Wavering is going to happen in the process. Wavering is the part of the process. You have to think like that. Like, when the wavering happens, you should not be afraid or you should not stop meditating. If the wavering of the mind is happening, that's the exact time you need to meditate more. That's the exact time you have to focus on your process. The wavering is the part of the process. And when you focus on the process, what happens? Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalamassthiram tatastato niyam tad atma neva vasham naye. What it means is this, that yato yato, whenever and wherever the restless and unsteady mind wanders, one should bring it back and continuously focus it on the divine or God. When I use the word God, some people will find it difficult. Okay, I don't believe in the God and all. But do you believe in that energy within? So focus on it. The Indian philosophy obviously use the word God because we believe that there is a God or divinity within us. And the entire journey of us, the spiritual journey, is to take our awareness and connect that awareness to the divine within. So, yato, whenever and wherever. However, because it's not that today if your meditation is well tuned, tomorrow is going to be the same always. Sometimes there are ups and downs in the experiences of meditation. But when you keep your awareness constant, when your mind is focused, what happens? With that awareness, you make sure that you are again coming back to the process of meditation. Because this happens for a spiritual practitioner, that after some weeks or some months of practicing a meditation, particular meditation technique, they come to me and they say, okay, I think I have mastered that technique. Can I go for the next one? See, understand is that you may try all kind of meditation techniques. You may try various processes there. But once you understand which is good for you, which suits for your nature, stick with that technique and continue that technique come whatsoever happen. And then you see the benefits of it. What happens when you are in that process, when your mind is connected? This is one of the most beautiful shloka from the Bhagavad Gita. And this comes in the 6th chapter, the Dhyana Yoga. Yatha dipo nivantastho nengte sopama smrita yogino yatachittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. Just as a lamp in a windless place does not flicker, so the disciplined mind of a yogi remains steady in a meditation on the supreme being or supreme divine. When you have a non-flickering flame of the lamp, we use it in a trataka. When that lamp is steady, that's how your awareness is steady to the divine within. And when that awareness is a constant, you use that awareness to reach and tap onto that energy within, divine energy within. That's why people, those who are meditation practitioner, you may take it as a Steve Jobs, you may take it as any of these high-end achievers. They're all a constant meditation practitioners. Why they are meditation practitioners? Because they know the benefit of it. Okay, it helps you to connect to that infinite resource of the energy. which is within you. It is not externally. And exactly that is what Krishna is telling. Okay? You connect within, that divinity within. And when you connect to that divinity within, nothing disturbs you. Whatever comes in your life, you perform it as a wonderful duty. And that helps you for your progress. When Krishna is telling, okay, this is going to happen, he's going to, okay, there are many objects, like, in the process of meditation, you're going to connect within. But in that process, people want to meditate on sun, moon, flowers, and there are various objects one can meditate. As I said, yato mate tato pata, however much there are thought processes, those many the paths are there. Indian philosophy believes that. So it's okay. You want to worship on the gods, you want to worship on the deity, you want to worship on any natural object, you want to meditate on any natural object, it's all okay. But here in Bhagavad Gita, obviously he's talking as a supreme being. He's giving a wonderful assurance. Because if you have a doubt, okay, what should I meditate on? If you have that thought, okay, should I take this particular object of meditation, that particular object meditation? The answer is given by Krishna here. That Krishna says that Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mayyavesha mano yemam nityayukta upasate shraddhaya pareyo peta steme yukta tamamataha Mayyeva man adhastva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ata udhvam na samshayaha. What Krishna is telling that you meditate, you fix your mind on me alone and surrender your intellect to me. Because many times it happens that we start analyzing, we start putting our logical ideas in the process of meditation. Frankly, it is nothing but our ego which is playing. And when that ego starts playing, the aham starts increasing. And that aham increasing takes you down. Even as we have seen it in a, if you know that in a Yoga Sutra, it is also said that, okay, when that small I comes, even in the last stage of Samadhi, there is enough chance that you can come down to the zero, like a snake and ladder game. At 98, there is a snake which pulls you down to the second square. So when this logical so-called, when we start playing with the ego, what happens? The meditation doesn't remain meditation. So surrender, focus only on the divine. If you have a doubt, that focus on the divine. Now there are various ways of interpreting this. Focus on divine means what? Do I have to worship the Krishna, or do I have to worship any particular deity or something like that? If you are comfortable, do worship. There is nothing wrong. But what I see it is that when you try and when you see that divinity in everything around you, when you try to find out and when you experience that goodness, that divinity, that good energy in everything around you, what happens? You connect to that divinity. You feel that connection to the entire universe around you. And when you feel that connection, you feel that internal resource of the energy, infinite resource. So connect to that divinity. He's telling connect to that divinity within. It is important that in this process to understand that this is a process, and the process always has its up and down. But what matters is how you keep yourself consistent. How you make sure that come whatsoever happen, my meditation practice is going to happen. And that's why that Abhyasa and vairagya should happen. A very practical suggestion, if I may to give, okay, when I talk with my students, they ask, when should I meditate? Tomorrow. I said that always plan tomorrow today, and plan your schedule in such a way that your meditation time is fixed and everything around it then works. So first priority is always your meditation time. It is always suggested to do early morning meditation on the Brahma Muhurta or sunrise time or late evening. But see what suits you, what you are following, which method you are following, and accordingly you must meditate. But consistently. And for that, Krishna is encouraging Arjuna here in such a beautiful way. tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo apimato adhikaha, karmibhyascha adhiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. A yogi is superior to the tapasvi. Tapasvi means who is following any kind of austeric practices. He is superior to a jnani, one who is on the jnana yoga path, who is on the path of realization through the scriptures. And even he is superior to the karmi, who is actually ritualistically performing, he is doing the actions. Now, a yogi is superior word here used means what? A meditation practitioner. And he's telling the one who establishes himself within by the practice of meditation, be that. Tasmad yogi bhava. So Arjuna, strive to be yogi. Here he is not telling yogi bhava doesn't mean that you should be able to do handstand and headstand or any kind of such intense practices. But connect within. Connect to that infinite source within and perform your duties. And when you understand this, that you have to connect to that infinite source within, the divinity within, when you understand this, you work towards it. And once you connect there, you perform your duties as a yogi. Then there is no ego, there is no emotional ups and downs, or there is no any kind of a negativity in your life. You perform your duties at your best. That's the entire goal of the Gita also, okay? To understand the dharma, that a duty to which I have to do and to follow that. But how one should do as a yogi. It's a beautiful way to understand the process of meditation. It is beautiful. Bhagavad Gita gives you that entire idea in a most simplest and easiest way. Please understand that a meditation need not to be extremely complicated. And whenever you are following the meditation practice and you are finding anything difficult, remember to surrender. Always have that intention and prayer to the divine that please let this practice be fruitful. Please guide me. Please help me. And I surrender to the divine. And when you do that, your meditation becomes definitely fruitful. In a lockdown time, many people came on this path of spirituality. Many people had wonderful journey, beginning of the commencement of the journey of the meditation. It was a lockdown, it was a time available, so you started. But I always suggest continue with it. When there is a good time of meditation, it is always now. It is always today. So make sure that you practice meditation, you follow this path of meditation with this guidance of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions? Please do ask.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much, Omkarji, and I'm sorry again for the interruptions during the session. Omkarji, we can now close the slide when we take questions so we can see you more clearly also.
Yes.
So if any of our participants have any questions for Omkarji, please send the questions in our Q&A section. So while they're thinking of questions, meanwhile, maybe we can take your contact details. Omkarji, is there any website or an email address that you'd like to share if any of our participants would like to get in touch with you after this session? And Kotiji, will you please make that accessible in the chat box to everyone? Omkarji?
Yes. Where should I share it? In the chat box?
You can even say it and Kotiji will share it in the chat box. Or you can even share it in the chat box and Kotiji will make sure all our participants can see
definitely.
So as I said at the beginning of this session, Omkarji is a yoga teacher and also a yoga therapist. So if you have any questions about today's session, please send them. Plus, Omkarji is just going to share his details, which will now be available to all of you. And just a reminder to everyone that our Zoom sessions and Yoga Insights sessions are recorded and will be available on the Indica Yoga website as well as the Indica Yoga YouTube channel. Kotiji, Omkarji has added his Instagram handle and his email address in the chat box. Yes. As you can see, that is now available to everyone. So for all our participants, you can reach out to Omkarji through his email address, which is omkaryoga@gmail.com.
No, I'm changing my address. Sorry, by mistake I've given the wrong.
He's sharing another address. I'm so sorry. And his Instagram handle is at Yoga Omkar. And yes, Omkar, the number 4, the letter U all at gmail.com is the address you can write to get in touch with Omkarji. We have just made this available on the chat box for everyone. So far, there are no questions, which is okay. You all can always write into us if you have questions later, and we will forward them to Omkarji. Before we end today's session, there's also his Facebook handle, which is Omkar Gotkhindikar. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name.
That's okay. It's Omkar Gotkhindikar. There is some question.
Yes, from Gunjanji is asking, what to think upon when meditating after considering all the physical aspects mentioned?
What to think upon when meditating after considering all the physical aspects mentioned. So one can always start by focusing the awareness on the breath. Once you take care of the physical aspect, start with a breath awareness. And just keep that awareness. Remember, you don't have to think anything, but you have to bring the awareness on one object. And if any thought comes, any kind of a distraction comes, you bring awareness with a little bit focus on the object of meditation. So at the moment, I'm telling you the object of meditation is a breath. So focus on that. And if the thought comes, do not allow that thought to dominate. Let go. Train your mind to repeatedly develop awareness on the object of meditation. I hope that answers. Thank you. Sophie ji, you are on the mute.
Yeah, Gunjanji, thank you so much for your question. Thank you, Omkarji. We have another question from Kuldeep ji. Do you have any meditation practice?
Do I have? There are wonderful meditation practices. Maybe sometime we can plan something later. Do I have means I have, like, as I have mentioned from the Gita, if any particular meditation practice you are looking for, we can plan later something, definitely.
Thank you so much. So Kuldeep ji, you can always get in touch with Omkarji and also on our Indica Yoga website. In fact, it's so interesting that you're talking about meditation because we have courses online. You know, Omkarji has also presented in our Global Festival of Yoga. So there are many resources where you can find various forms of meditation. Even in our Yoga Insights sessions, you know, we featured Ramana Maharishi's meditation, which is self-inquiry. There is Vipassana, there is transcendental meditation. I mean, there are
there are wonderful options.
Yes, and also you have Omkarji's address. You can get in touch with him. So I hope that helps. Kuldeep ji, you can always write to us also. He's saying thank you. Then we have Sarah ji who's asking us, how do you keep steady awareness? How to keep the steady awareness connecting with external world?
So the awareness is within. Once you connect the awareness within, the external world you will see falls in its own place. Then nothing disturbs you. The idea is this, that in the process of meditation, if anything is distracting you, how you use your willpower to bring awareness back to the meditation process. And when you develop that strong foundation within, the external world also falls into the place. So the problems which you experience outside, you become a master to solve those problems. They don't bother you anymore. That how to strengthen the willpower. This is a really wonderful question. Practicing of the asana, practicing of the pranayama, following of the pratyahara, the controlling over the senses. That's how you strengthen the willpower. A strong determination comes. That's why always it's not only the dhyana is required, but also practice of asana, pranayama and pratyahara in the process is required. And that helps you to strengthen your willpower. It's a gradual process.
Thank you so much. She is asking next, is there a connection of willpower with the Muladhara chakra?
Not only associated with one particular chakra, but it is all about the balancing all the chakra system. It's not only associated. The Muladhara gives you a sense of safety and sense of security and the grounding. But it is also that you have to have a well-focused, balanced Ajna. So it is the entire chakra system when you balance, obviously the entire willpower is achieved. A strong willpower is achieved.
Thank you so much, Sarah Ji. I hope that gives you guidance. We have one more question from Mel Ji. She is saying, or he is saying, sorry, I'm not sure. I also started to practice under Plum Village tradition under Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry. And this person has noted the importance of Sangha, connecting to community, power of the collective energy and effort. So can you comment on the role of Sangha?
Sangha is nothing but a like-minded people who are following a particular tradition, who work on the particular spiritual practice. The benefit of Sangha is this, that it gives you a support system. It creates a support system. It helps you to, whenever you feel any kind of a disturbance in your spiritual practice or meditation practice, it helps you to uplift yourself. Because there is always, when there is a group energy, it works. That's what we are doing in Indica, no? That we have all wonderful teachers who come together, who encourage each other, who practice. There are wonderful methods which are explored, and that's nothing but a Sangha. Sangha means what? That when a like-minded people who are on the spiritual path, when they come together. So that's what is about the Sangha.
Thank you so much, Omkarji, and thank you for your kind words about Indica Yoga. You know, it's why this platform is here, for all of us to come together and share our knowledge, because we are all in the same world and we're all on the same path. One last question we're going to take from Sarah Ji. She asked about the connection of willpower with the Muladhara chakra. And then you spoke about how that chakra, when it is developed, it's about security, safety. So she is saying how to find this grounding.
So there are particular asanas, there are particular techniques which are oriented for particular chakra balance. Whether if someone has a hyperactive chakra or someone has a blocked chakra, accordingly there are asanas which are mentioned, which are there to practice, and those practices helps you to get that process of grounding, to develop that sense of the security. So it is a practice, you know. Okay, there are certain asanas like Padmasana, Vajrasana, Siddhasana, or Virabhadrasana. The hip opening sequencings are there. So whichever method of asana practices which you follow, whether you follow traditional hatha or you follow vinyasa or ashtanga or hatha vinyasa, accordingly one can develop that module for themselves and practice the grounding practices.
Thank you so much. Sarah Ji is also saying thank you. I think that's all the questions for today. Thank you again, Omkarji, for this wonderful session.
Thank you.
And just before leaving, we just have a few announcements. Of course, starting with next week's Yoga Insight session. Koti Ji, can we have the poster, please? So next week's session is going to be conducted by Richard C. Miller. So Richard G will be talking about the awakening and healing power of Yoga Nidra, which again is something we featured in Yoga Insights before. We've done this practice and we all had a wonderful session. So this is an extension of that. So please join us next Friday again at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And Richard G will be sharing the awakening and healing power of yoga. And of course, the next announcement is we have a very interesting retreat coming up. So Vanaprastha, how to age gracefully, meaningfully, and usefully. This retreat is going to be held by the very wonderful N.V. Raghuram Ji. He is the chairman and spiritual founder of Yoga Bharati. And if you have been following our work at Indica Yoga and our global festivals of yoga, you know, Raghuram Ji has always been with Indica Yoga. He's given a lot of talks. So this is a great retreat that you can join to further understand the way Sanatana Dharma divides life and how we can all go through those stages of life, from birth to the householder to Vanaprastha, and then of course the final stage, which is sannyas. So anyone who's interested in joining this retreat, it will be held at the Ritambara retreat in Bangalore. This is a residential 2-day retreat, and you can register for this retreat on the Indica Yoga website. Can we show the website page if possible, Koti ji, where people can register? Yes, so if you go to the Indica Yoga website, in our events page, you will see all of the retreats and the courses that Indica Yoga is going to be conducting over the next 3 months. Thank you so much. And of course, the retreat we just spoke about, which is the Vanaprastha retreat. So that's it for announcements. Inari ji is saying, thank you so much. It was a very informative webinar. Thank you for joining us, Inara ji. Koti ji has shared also Indica events and of course our website indica.com, indicayoga.com to find out all the information on the courses. Before we close the session, Omkarji, any parting message for our participants?
I always say to all the students who want to practice, as I was repeatedly saying now also, start the meditation. Come whatsoever happen, start with the 2 minutes at least. Increase those 2 minutes after 1 week to 5 minutes. After 2 weeks, make those 5 minutes for the 10 minutes. After another 2 weeks, those 10 minutes should change to the 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, it should be at least half an hour per day. Meditation has to be there. So at least start with the 2 minutes. Don't worry, you have to do 30 minutes now. But start with the 2 minutes and then continue journey gradually. As we saw it in the shloka, Bhagavad Gita, shanai, shanai, slowly, slowly. So start always now. Don't wait that I will start at the beginning of the next year. Now. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic advice. Yes, I think we all know how bogus New Year resolutions are. Every year we make these resolutions, nothing happens. Of course, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm sure our participants have a lot more willpower than me. But we also have a few more comments. Shilpa ji and Smita ji are saying, thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you so much for joining us, Shilpa ji and Smita ji, and for your kind comments. That brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you everybody for joining us. And just to remind you, you can always come back to this session. It's on our YouTube channel as well as our Indica Yoga website. Thank you so much, Omkarji, for collaborating with
you.
Thank you.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat. I'll see all of you next week for our next session on Yoga Insights. Have a beautiful weekend. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.